Hurry up!
Hi, I'm Jomo.
And I'm Kyle.
And you're watching Time Attack.
The only video game show on the internet.
And we have just 15 minutes to talk about Snowboard Kids for the N64.
Start the clock.
Starting the clock now. So, as you know, Kyle, Snowboard Kids is a racing game that involves you snowboarding down a slope, completing certain laps, and you acquire items thrown on the track to either help you get to the goal faster or attacking enemies, a battle race, if you will. What were your thoughts?
Okay, well, for the sake of the audience, you once tried to bring this to a party.
Mm-hmm.
How dare you bring a party game to a party?
And this is like years ago. How many years ago was this?
Well, it was a while, because I remember thinking, like, we could be playing Smash Brothers right now. We're playing this. Because you brought it a few times, no one wanted to try that hard.
No.
But then one time we did play it, and it wasn't great. So now, because of this video, he recommended we try it for a review. I played it for 4 or 5, maybe 6 hours, somewhere around there. Gave it a really, really solid go. And I see the appeal now. I see what you like about it, and I don't think it's bad. I think I just don't like it. Primarily because, as you said, it's a battle racer. There are other modes, but the battle race mode is the main mode, and I hate it because it's like, oh, you're trying to snowboard, trying to have fun? No, I'm gonna throw shit at you constantly. And you're not going to get, like, if you're in first, you're not staying in first.
Not for too long. I mean, you could possibly if you get, if you have the right item or if things just work out. But you will have to regain first place a couple of times throughout the race.
Yeah, and it's the only time I ever tried to get 100% in a Mario Kart game was Double Dash for the GameCube. And I remember having just a really tough go of it with the harder difficulties, 150cc's with the blue shells. And this game is like that all the time. It's not just, it's on the harder difficulties you get hit more. It's just, it's relentless. Which is shocking because there's only 4 racers.
Yeah.
But all 3 of your opponents are just throwing shit. And it's so many of the items home. Like
they all home, actually.
They all home? Okay, I noticed. I thought,
which one did you not think home?
I thought the snowman or like the ice or whatever that kind of bounces around.
The snowman, it I guess it doesn't. Well, it will home, but you have to shoot like very precisely. Like it requires a little bit more accuracy, and then it'll kind of like magnetism, sort of. You
need to be closer, I think, for some items.
Yes. Yeah. The bomb has pretty poor accuracy, but if you shoot it close enough, it will then rear in and hit the target.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's not like a straight and just continues straight.
But the worst one. It was those pans.
Yeah, you don't like the pans. Yeah.
Well, it's like the blue shell, except the blue shell Mario Kart it might hit people along the way, but it'll mostly hit the guy in first. That's who it's going for.
Yes.
And I think a Double Dash is more of an explosion, so you might get caught in that explosion.
Yeah.
With this game, with these pans, it just hits everybody, and there's no way around it. There's no way to stop it.
This is like the lightning bolt.
Yeah,
so
that's probably actually a more accurate comparison.
Yeah,
and it does show up if you're in last place or further back.
Yes, like what would be really interesting is sometimes because of how chaotic the gameplay is, you might be in 4th place. Let's say you have some weapons. You hit a blue box, you get a pan. You hit everybody with your weapons, you get into 1st place, and then you're 1st place with the pans.
Yeah,
and you just hold on to them, and it's just like. I hold all the cards.
That's not my experience, but I can see that happening in the sense that, like, because there's only 4 players and because the items, like, even the playing field so significantly, like, you're never more than a few feet ahead of the last guy, Like, you get hit with one item, you're most likely going to fall back 2 or 3 places.
Probably. But then, you get the chance to counterattack. Someone gets behind. Now, they're passing you have a weapon, you hit them, so it's... there's a lot of back and forth for sure.
Oh, it's just endless.
Yeah,
that's what it is. It unfortunately overshadows the other mechanics, which I actually like a lot of. How the control is. There's no braking because it's a snowboard, which is something the game emphasizes. And so you kind of have to lean back, left, back, right to take sharper turns.
Yes.
And if you go too sharp, you could turn around completely. And the game doesn't offer you a correction. You have to correct yourself, which is cool. And I really like the jump mechanic, how you have to hold down the A button to almost crouch.
Yeah.
And then release. It's not something you instantly click onto, even though the game tells you how. You have to kind of get the feel for it.
It's kind of like a Smash in a Smash Brothers, where you just like, what am I doing exactly? And once you finally get it, it's very like you just know how to do it now.
It's almost second nature. I don't think I got quite that far, but I liked how you could use that to dodge some of the lesser items.
Yes.
So maybe in a dream world, there's a version of this game where you can use maneuvering like that to dodge all the items or most of them, and I might like it better.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think you can dodge more attacks than you realize, because once you start to get to understand how to control a lot more, because of the accuracy of some weapons isn't that great, you can evade. Like, I remember I was fighting, I was playing and I was shooting all these bombs, and like the PC just like dodged all of them. And just maybe it was bad accuracy, but for example, you can jump and you can pivot and turn while you're in the air. So you kind of like jump, you're turning, and then when you land, you're kind of already moving in that direction of the slope, and you kind of jump. And it's like snowboarding, where you have to actually get up off the ground, pivot yourself to kind of push and pull and turn, and there's a little bit more finesse to it a little bit. Other than just stay on the ground, turn, you sometimes got to jump and then pivot. Jump, pivot.
Well, I guess it's good to hear that there's a learning curve. I did experience a little bit of that. How the more I played it, it was easier to get first place in previous cups, because I learned it. I got better at it, right?
Yeah.
But I didn't see this really high level stuff like that, where it's like, oh, you can almost like game the system,
Well, yeah. I mean, like there's still chaos, no doubt, but I don't know. I didn't feel as like I was totally out of control because of it. It's like, oh, there's nothing I can do. A lot of it is, I don't know, I just didn't experience that as much. But I mean, I've been playing the game for years, so naturally, it'll be a little easier. What characters did you use?
I'm used mainly Slash, the main guy, because he seemed like a Mario kind of balanced stats kind of guy. I did experiment with Linda and the other girl.
Yeah, Nancy.
I didn't play the overweight gentleman because I know usually in racing games when there's an overweight heavy kind of guy, I'm not good with that kind of play style. Because he's usually more like fast acceleration or fast top speed but poor control. That's generally how that works. I believe that's the case in this game as well.
Yeah, it's very much so. I mean, and you can use certain boards to kind of compensate for certain characters' weaknesses. So
yeah, that's actually an interesting idea, yeah, how you can, so if one guy has bad handling, you pick a board that has superior handling, but it almost seems like you should just pick the guy that's better handling.
Yeah, I don't know how exactly the math works on that, but I don't know. And then depending on the level of the board, I don't know how that works, is that it's better. So you just sort of get a board and get a person and see how it goes.
Well, and that was something, speaking of the level of the board, that's something I saw as being kind of maybe a more addictive aspect of the game if you're into that. Is like, first of all, getting the trophies, because unlike other racing games, you don't have to complete a whole circuit, like a whole a cup to play all the tracks. You just pick which one you want, play it indefinitely until you master it. And then as you're collecting money, it's used for collecting items, but whatever you don't use or your winnings from the track, you add to a bank account, which then you can buy better boards at the store, which my understanding was it would make things easier,
Yes, it does make things easier, because you're just faster, or you have better handling, which you'll need on certain levels. The earlier stages, there's not as much need for quick turning and handling, but later on you really do need that. But you also need the speed, because there'll be portions in the level where it's straight and you need speed for that.
Yeah.
But then there's these sharp turns, so it's like a strange balance where you have to decide, are you going to have more speed than handling, or vice versa? So,
well, I guess it's also just like, is it something you can learn, like the track layout, to the point where even though my guy has bad handling, I know the exact feel, like almost muscle memory, to navigate through these narrow passages?
Well, yeah, I think that there's a bit of practice that's involved, but also depending on your build. So if I'm using Tommy, for example, and I'm going all speed, it's going to be a tougher race for me because I'm going to have to jump, pivot. It's going to be harder. It's going to be a little less forgiving. Whereas if I'm doing something else, I don't have to worry too much about like, oh, I got to make sure I take the safer route because there's some secret routes you can take. I don't know if you got to Greenland. You played Greenland?
I played all the default stages.
Yeah, that one, there's like 2 branching paths at the beginning of the level.
Okay.
And if you go on the left, it's a little trickier than the one in the cave, I think. But there's also like other secret paths you can take which require some handling. So I don't really know how to calculate what the best route is, but like you just kind of figure out what you want to do with your comfort level, but also with your build. One thing that I really like about this game is the music.
Oh yeah, I think great music.
Yeah, the tracks are just the soundtracks are really really good. Just every one, I don't know, like give you sort of this feeling of it's happy, it's energetic, it's very unique. It really adds to the experience.
It kind of has when you're in the menus, it almost feels like a Super Nintendo game to me. The vibe of it, like almost like Pilot Wings or something. Just it's hard to explain, but it feels older than it is till you play the actual like the main game. When you're actually playing, it feels like an N64 game, but just everything around that feels very almost retro. Well, it would have been retro at the time.
Yeah.
It's all retro now. But,
Yes, yeah.
and I like, maybe it's because of all like the nice 2D artwork they used in the menus. It has that like almost timeless look to it.
Yeah, there's so much little characters and attention added to like every detail. Like I like even how the sprites on the character select screen move, like and they do a little animation. It's just everything looks important. It's not generic. It's crafted. It looks nice. I love like when you go to the shop store with Mr. Dog, you hear that nice music playing. There's voices, like all around. Like I like it's just there's a lot of things that are just enjoyable. And I don't know, even in the tracks, there's a lot of detail. Like there's one level where after you get off the ski lift, there's like a little cafe that you can see before you get back to the main track. Speaking of the ski lift.
I was about to say, speaking of things that are enjoyable, not.
I love the ski lift mechanics. I love the battle nature of it, the strategizing. You can try to hit guys right before they get to the ski lift. And then they're like, it's like, yeah, take that. Like you get someone, they're just about to get ahead and they're like, nope, I'm taking that for you.
For me, it's like, it's just annoying when, someone gets there just before you and you get bumped and the guy behind you gets in while you're being bumped.
Yeah.
And it's just like, and then you're just watching them go up. And I see how it's unique.
Yeah.
I just hate it.
Oh yeah. It's a fight.
Yeah.
It's a fight. It's not nice. It's a battle. And oh man. One thing I wish to replicate one day is to get 4 people who can actually play this decently, and then once you have like 4 people that know how to play this and they're going at it, it's like anybody's game. It's just a struggle.
I can see that, yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that's ultimately like, I say I didn't really enjoy the game, but I'm not gonna call it bad. It's that kind of game. It's depending how much like bullshit you can tolerate. Like, do you like nonsense happening? Okay, great. You might enjoy this game. As you're saying, there might be a skill aspect of avoiding it, but that does seem almost like beside the point.
Well, it's kind of like on the same vein, I would say, as Mario Kart. Because on one level, if you get a whole bunch of people playing, they're just going to play, and some people are going to win, some people are going to lose. You lose sometimes, whatever. But if you play some people who actually like took a lot of time playing this, it's like they will beat you consecutively. They know the tracks, they know just what to do at the right time. The skill gap, I don't know how much because of the items randomness adds to it, but like there's enough room where you can get ahead, I think, a little bit than other people.
But I do find like comparing it to Mario Kart. Mario Kart has like at least let's use 64 as a baseline.
Okay.
You can collect like green shells, and there's the 3 that circle around you.
Yes.
You can almost hold on to them as a shield.
Yes.
Or you can also hold something behind you, like a banana, to block something. This game doesn't really have that. Like, yeah, you can jump over things and maybe turn yourself to dodge things, but for the most part, all the weapons home on you to certain varying degrees.
Yeah.
And a lot of them are as bad or worse than like the blue shell from Mario.
Yeah, possibly.
Well, think about how brutal it is when you get the parachute. Like, you get parachuted and you're just slowly going down. There's
hurts.
Nothing you can do about it.
Oh, this is what I like doing, is hitting people with a snowman. Once you're hit with the snowman, you're a snowman, you're just going straight.
Yep.
And then it's just like right off the cliff. It's like, yeah. Or you hit them and they go up like a ramp and they just kind of go back and forth until the snowman goes away. So they basically just stop. It's like there's a lot of punishing ways you can use those weapons other than just hitting them at any time.
Now, do you find if you do something really brutal that you can actually keep the AI down? Because in a lot of these games, like Mario Kart, there's like a rival like programmed in. It seems like no matter what you do to this guy, he's always on your tail.
It's hard to say. I mean, like my bias might kick in, but I think if you get a perfect storm, so for example, like you're in 4th place, you acquire the hands, you hit everybody because they're all close together.
Oh, well, that's it.
That's the 15
minutes.
Well, hopefully you enjoyed this Time Attack
episode. Thanks for watching.
Time over!